Welcome to 50 Nights of Fright. Today, I'm joined with Jason and Candy. Today, we're talking about King Kong. All right, let's get started. What did you guys think of the movie?
I loved it.
Yeah, I love
Classic.
the movie too. I know that when did the silent era actually end?
It would have been the late 20s, early 30s.
Because I was thinking you're just coming out of the silent era.
Yeah, 1933, so it was
Right?
still very early in the world of talkies.
Right.
So.
And I think it's pretty amazing how where you have this. It's a pretty big, grand movie. I had actually forgot how big and grand it was, especially with all the like the animation parts and stuff like that. They did a fantastic job with where you have all the TVs basically blended with the scenery and things like that. They did a great job, I think, because TV was still, or movies were still somewhat in their infancy. So I think it was pretty fantastic.
Yeah. Well, King Kong is a great example of that stop motion animation.
Yes.
How they, with the ape, they had to like move him each frame by frame in order to get fluid motion and all
Right.
that. Ray Harryhausen, of course, did it with Clash of the Titans and Jason and the Argonauts, things like that. But yeah, King Kong was kind of the biggest movie at the time, and it's a great example of what's later known as kaiju, like Godzilla, giant monsters and stuff like that. King Kong is the original giant monster.
Right. Yeah, and I looked. It was interesting. Some of the stuff I kind of looked up on there. I looked up the budget. So it was like $672,000, which in today's money was $16.7 million. That's a pretty big movie. And I was talking with Candy. I'm like, this also happened at the height of the Great Depression. So it's amazing that they made it a movie like that significant, where basically people are kind of going hungry, and they're like they made.
But they made time for entertainment.
Absolutely, yeah, and it did make. It said to box office $10 million, which is equivalent to about $249 million in today's money.
Yeah, which is no small feat,
No.
Especially when you're the size of Godzilla.
Yeah. The one thing I was looking at, I was trying to find out like some different things, like interesting facts or different stuff about that. One of the things I thought was interesting was Marion C. Cooper, which was one of the producers / directors. I guess he had a co-credit with their.
Yeah.
With what the partner's name is, Ernest B. Schoedsack. Does that sound right? Schoedsack?
Well, there's David Seisnick, which was on there, and I know one of the other producers was like Edgar Wallace or something like that. But yeah, Ernest, he's on there.
Well, one of the things I thought was interesting is what he originally wanted to do is he wanted to get a monkey and get live Komodo dragons and put them on a set and have them fight.
Yeah.
For the dinosaur scene, and they decided for safety, and it's probably human safety. If I wasn't even animal safety, they said, let's not do that.
Yeah, there were no rules against animal endangerment back then.
Well,
That movie.
the other thing I found, not to do spoiler, but if you haven't seen it since it's been out since 1933, I think it's probably about time that maybe you would have.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
It was interesting. They said that, and I guess there's no film left of it. Is basically when King Kong was shaking the sailors off of the big tree, and they went down the ravine. I guess the original, what they tried is they actually had spiders come and eat the men.
Yeah, the spider pit sequence. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess that the audiences, that was just too much for them. They just freaked out. That's all they could talk about and think about was the spiders. So
I would have had nightmares.
Well, Peter Jackson later recreated it whenever he did the King Kong remake in the 2000s. So if you did want to watch a approximation of what the scene would have looked like, he did a pretty good job.
Right.
And Fay Wray as the leading actress, what did you think of her performance?
I thought she was great. I didn't think like she was pretentious. She didn't have to have any like excessive makeup, fillers. She was. I just thought she was a natural beauty.
Yeah, she is. I thought it was interesting how her life changed in a stop of a hat, just like this. She went from I got caught stealing
To she was getting married.
to where you're on a boat going, gosh knows where.
Yeah.
it goes to show in the Great Depression, you probably had to make some choices you probably wouldn't normally make.
All right. So overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you guys give King Kong?
I give him a 10.
All right. That's high marks.
Yeah, I think for the use of special effects, practical effects, everything like that, the circumstances behind the movie, the grand, there weren't other movies to reflect on. You are the movie, right? You had all original, which is great. You have a blank canvas. I give it a 10.
All right. Do you think King Kong has earned his place in the history of horror, this list of horror movies that we're going through?
I think he has, because I just feel like it made a pathway for the other monsters to get through.
Yeah, I believe he has. It's been obviously knowing from behind. This was 1933. It's now 2025. We know there's been many iterations. There's an audience for it. The grand and the size of King Kong. I think we all get caught up in that, things that are bigger than us, and we're mesmerized and we're just fascinated by it. So yeah, absolutely.
All
10
right.
out of 10.
All right, you heard it here. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of 50 Nights of Fright. Join us again tomorrow when we watch whatever movie is next.